You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Franzen here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. My guest today is Michael Levine, a practicing attorney with over 35 years of experience. He is a partner at Rappaport, Glass, Levine, and Zullo LLP, where he specializes in personal injury cases. He also represents large unions in New York, including the Transport Workers Union. His leadership roles include serving as past president of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association, which boasts more than 4,000 members, and he has a 12-year tenure as mayor of Oldfield, New York. He is recognized as one of New York's preeminent lawyers and has been named a top personal injury attorney by U.S. News and World Report. In 2022, he was selected for inclusion in the Best Lawyers in America publication for personal injury litigation plaintiffs. With numerous seven-figure verdicts and settlements, he generates significant cases as Motorcycle Mike Esq and has plenty of time to pursue his passions and hobbies outside of work. Hey, Michael, it's great to talk to you today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Hey, when and how did you know that you wanted to become an attorney?
So I knew when I was in undergraduate school. I took a series of political science pre-law courses with a professor who I remember to this day, Tom Middleton, and he just had such a positive influence on me that I decided, I think maybe in my sophomore year of college, that I wanted to become an attorney.
What about your skills at that time did you think, this is going to translate well into becoming an attorney?
So, I I don't think I had any skills at that point in time, especially as a sophomore in college. But I was competitive. I played the varsity sports in college, and I liked competition, and I thought that maybe going into law would be one way to feed my competitive spirits. So that's probably where it came from.
So you applied to law school, got in. Kind of take us through your introductory stages into the legal industry.
Yeah. So when I was in law school, I took some criminal defense courses and clinics, and I really liked the thought of being a criminal defense attorney. So when I was in law school, I started applying for jobs with the legal aid societies here in New York, and was offered a job with one of the local county's legal aid societies. So I started out my career being a criminal defense attorney, a legal defense attorney, meaning I was working for the legal aid society. So we were representing pretty much indigent defendants who didn't have the ability to pay for an attorney. And after doing that for, I don't think even a year, I realized that I didn't want to hang out in jail cells for the rest of my life. So I moved on.
Very nice. Hey, I mentioned in your intro that you go by Motorcycle Mike Esq. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, so it starts with me always having a fascination with motorcycle cops when I was a young kid, and most of them rode Harley-Davidson Road Kings, and I really just thought it was pretty cool being a motorcycle cop and riding a Harley-Davidson Road King on a day-to-day basis as your career. So early on in my 30s, I bought myself a Harley-Davidson Road King and really liked riding, and kind of met an interesting segment of society through having a Harley-Davidson. And then I decided, all right, well, how could I take not advantage of this, but how could I turn this into a business where I could possibly market myself and my legal practice to motorcyclists. And unfortunately, motorcyclists get hurt. It's just inevitable when you ride a motorcycle. And shortly into having a motorcycle, I met a lot of motorcyclists, and the word started getting around that Mike Levine was a personal injury attorney that was really good representing motorcyclists. And then I decided, okay, what do I do next? So I decided to brand my name, Motorcycle Mike, because it's easy to remember, and because it kind of flows off of the tongue. And after a while, it wasn't something that happened overnight, but after several years of going to events, sponsoring charitable rides, being connected at the hip, so to speak, with the motorcycle community, it kind of went almost viral. Everybody knew if they got hurt, they need to retain the services of Motorcycle Mike, and then I started advertising on TV, and it became some of a household name. And it was just easy to remember, it's not like a long-winded private attorney name. It's Motorcycle Mike. If you get hurt, call Motorcycle Mike. And it just took on a life of its own after a while. And it's led me to the point now in my career.
Yeah, sounds great. So what were the commercials like? Was that kind of your motto? If you get hurt, call Motorcycle Mike?
So that's a really good question. I'll tell you what, my commercials were not a hard sell. I was not the guy saying, I'll get you the money that you deserve. I'm turned off by those forms of advertisements. So what I did and what I continue to do in my motorcycle commercials is I try to educate motorcyclists on how to protect themselves, not just in terms of what to look for when you're on the road, but what you should have on your insurance policy, what kind of coverage you should have on your insurance policy, what insurance policies provide for and what they don't provide for, what's the best insurance policy. So I tried to educate not just motorcyclists, because now I've taken it into other segments of my practice. I represent, God knows, so many injured construction workers on construction sites, and obviously motor vehicle accidents as well. But I tried to make my advertisements not a soft sell, but rather an educational sell. I try to educate my clients on what they need to do to protect themselves and their loved ones. And that's the premise of most of my Motorcycle Mike commercials.
It sounded like you were establishing yourself as a thought leader rather than at least in the short go-to guy, like, I'm going to get your money as you deserve. You feel like that kind of over the long term, obviously it did. It helped you pay off. It paid off for you rather than, going for the short-term sell.
I don't know about you, Chad, but I'm personally offended by the attorneys who say, I've had millions and billions of dollars of recoveries, and this client got $750,000. That client got $1.6 million. That's not the way I advertise myself. I try to be humble, and I try to be sincere, and I try to make my commercials informative. And that way I become somewhat of a recognized authority. And that has worked well for me. I'm frankly turned off by a lot of my competitors' advertisements, and mine is very different. And I get feedback from a lot of clients that they just like that I'm a soft sell. I come across as being sincere and humble and informative, and that's how I've advertised over the last more than 10 years now, maybe 15 years.
As you look back over your career, is there I know this is probably hard to do, but is there a case that really stands out to you as A, challenging, and B, one that you're particularly proud of?
I can tell you one case. This was a track worker, New York City track worker, who was working in the tunnels in Manhattan and was electrocuted when he came into contact with the third rail, and he perished. And his spouse, Diane, just a lovely person. She went to a lot of law firms and was told that she didn't have a case, that the estate's sole recovery would have been workers' compensation benefits, but since he died, there was no workers' compensation available. Maybe a death benefit, that was it. But I understood the law at the time, and I understand the law well now. So I was able to identify a defendant that could be sued in her fact pattern. And we were successful in bringing that matter to a significant resolution. And I guess the word spread among union officials that this guy had done a very good job for the wife of this decedent. And I started getting significant cases from that union. It led to other unions. And that case really stands out in my mind, because here was a woman who lost her husband, and she was being told nothing was capable of being done for her. And I hate hearing that. And I was able to provide her at the conclusion of the case with financial security. And let me just say, Chad, I never say to my client, I want to get lots of money in your pocket. I always tell my clients that my obligation to you is to provide you with money so that you're financially secure, and so that you don't ever have to worry again about how you're going to feed your family, how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to look out for your loved ones. That's my obligation, to provide you with a source of income where you don't have to worry about money ever again, and worry about how you're going to pay your bills and meet your overhead. And that is my overriding guidance, thought idea as I get into this latter stages of my career, I would say.
In the beginning stages of your career, you talked a little bit about being a criminal defense attorney, and you quickly shifted. So I'm guessing you went right from that to personal injury law.
Yeah, so I did. I went from hanging out in the bullpens of the belly of the beast of a courthouse on Long Island. I mean, literally, I was down in the basement, in the dungeon, meeting with criminal defendants. And I realized that I liked helping out people. I just didn't like hanging out in bullpens. And I understood that another practice of law that might allow me to continue to help out people was going to personal injury work. So from my position as a legal aid attorney, I segue into the personal injury field. I initially started out as a defense attorney, working for a big defense firm in New York City. And what I realized is I couldn't stand timesheets. Everything had to be accounted for, down to a point one, meaning 6 minutes. And, I really disliked that. I disliked not, I don't want to say helping out insurance carriers, but I disliked trying to minimize the exposure of insurance companies to people who had been seriously hurt. And I was only doing that for maybe 2 years before I decided I got to be a plaintiff's attorney. This was back in, I think, 1989, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a plaintiff's firm, which is where I am now. The same firm. I joined this firm in 1990. And since 1990, I've been with the same firm, and we represent nothing but injured plaintiffs, victims of malpractice, and so forth. And I just like helping out people.
Yeah.
I've done it personally, and I've done it professionally. And I enjoy being able to make a change, an impact on people's lives.
Has the field of personal injury law, I guess, changed over the course of the past 30 plus years?
Yeah, without a doubt, Chad, it definitely has changed. It is much more paper intensive, which is a necessary evil, I call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insurance companies need to dot their I's and cross their T's, and I understand that. but they just don't throw money at your feet. They never threw money at our feet to begin with, but it's harder now than it was, 15, 20 years ago. I have a way of practicing where I put every case into suit. Every single case. You come into my door, and I'm retained. I'm going to have your case in suit within about 2 weeks, because I understand that I can't get insurance companies to negotiate in good faith until I put pressure on them, until I put them in a position where their back is against the wall, and then my clients can get fair compensation. So that's how I conduct my practice now.
Let's talk about some of your leadership experience. You were a past president of the New York State Trial Lawyers Association. What were some of the things you were really concerned about or kind of working on in that role?
Yeah, so here's the thing about being a president of a big bar association. Your overriding objective as a president of such an organization is to make sure that nothing bad happens to your base, the attorneys that you're acting on behalf of. You want to make sure that no bad laws are passed that are harmful to the practice of law, and that bad bills get defeated. So it wasn't an overwhelming burden, but I just felt a huge responsibility to the 4,000 personal injury attorneys in New York State to make sure to look out for them. They're important, but it's the clients that are even more important, okay? Because they're all representing clients, and you want to make sure that nothing bad happens in terms of legislation that is not just harmful to the attorneys, but rather to the clients that they represented. So that was what I did for a year. It's a year stint in New York State with this New York State Trial Lawyers Association. I spent the whole year meeting with legislators, senators, assemblymen, the governor's office, lobbyists, and just making sure that nothing bad happened on my watch.
Okay. So you spent a year doing that, and you spent 12 years as a mayor of Oldfield, New York.
Yep.
How did your skills, experience, whatever, as an attorney turn into your job as mayor, and vice versa?
Yeah.
How did being a mayor influence your legal practice?
So two things that stick out in my mind. When I was running for election the first time around, it was a hotly contested election, and I had two thought processes. One thought process was you want to get a job done, give it to the busiest person in the room, and it'll get done. And I was a busy guy, but I knew how to get right to the heart of the matter and to get things done, because I didn't have time to cerebrate about something for months and months and months. So I was able to identify the problem right away and come to a solution to resolve the problem. So that was one thought process I had. You want a job done, give it to the busiest person in the room, and it'll get done. And the other thought process is, as an attorney, obviously I knew how to commence a lawsuit, but I also knew how to avoid a lawsuit. And before I took over the village was always, frankly, stuck in litigation. There was a lot of lawsuits against the village for whatever reasons. And it was, frankly, very costly to not only the insurance company for the village, but also to the taxpayers. And being an attorney who's in court every day of the week, practically, for many years, I knew how to not only commence the lawsuit, but I also knew how to avoid a lawsuit. And the thing that I was proudest about the most in my 12 years as mayor was that not a single lawsuit was brought against my village. There was one lawsuit. It was a personal injury case where one of our code enforcement guys hit a bicyclist. That was covered by insurance. But otherwise, for 12 years, not a single lawsuit against my village, because I knew how to avoid litigation. So it worked out well for me. And then, I went out really on a good standing. I thought the residents really liked me. I was doing a good job. I was also mindful of the fact that it was time to give somebody else the opportunity to be mayor of the village. I didn't want to wear out my welcome. And there's no other reasons whatsoever why I left, other than I just felt time to get somebody else an opportunity to represent the residents, and let's go out on a high note. And that's what I did.
Sure. What kind of has motivated you to be involved, as more than an attorney, maybe in community service and in these types of leadership roles?
Yeah, just frankly, it's very simple. There are people who complain incessantly, but they're always on the outside looking in. All right. And then there are people who might complain, but they're on the inside, and they can do something about the complaint when they're on the inside. All right. And I didn't want to be president. I didn't want to be somebody that was complaining about a trial lawyers association on the outside looking in. I wanted to be on the inside where I could resolve the problems. I didn't want to be a person who complained about the village from the outside looking in. I wanted to be in the inside. And if there was a problem, I wanted to resolve it. So that was my thought process. You can complain and remain on the outside and always look in, or you can be a part of the solution. I always wanted to be a part of the solution. That's why not only was I president of the Trial Lawyers Association, but that was also the reason why I decided to become a mayor of my village for 12 years.
As someone who has been, in the legal industry for, more than 3 decades, how do you kind of stay current with maybe some legal trends or changes?
Yeah, so I go to a lot of seminars. I go to retreats. I've attended retreats, frankly, all over the country. I get decisions, case law decisions every couple of days a week. I upload them to Dropbox, depending on the nature of the case that I'm reading about. And I try to read a lot without overwhelming myself. And I try to just stay current by looking at the decisions, by attending seminars, by I even go to trial practice skills now. I mean, I've tried lots of cases, but I still go to trial practice skills courses all the time because I want to be on top of the cutting edge technology. And I want to make sure that my skills continue to be productive. That's my thought process.
What kind of a role has mentorship, either receiving mentorship or giving mentorship? What kind of a role has mentorship played in your career?
Yeah, so one thing that I'm really enjoying doing right now is we have a lot of younger associates in my office.
Mm-hmm.
I've been not stealing them, but I've been taking talent away from some local district attorney's offices because, frankly, they can do better financially in the private arena, and because they're really good on their feet and they're comfortable in courtrooms and they're good with judges and they're personable and they're marketable. So I brought in over the last several years a fair number of young associates, and I'm teaching them the things that I've learned over the course of my 3 decades plus career, hoping that a lot of it, and I think it has, wears off on them, and that the things that they see that I've done successfully are things that they start to implement themselves.
What is maybe like a key piece of advice that you can share with them that they wouldn't have that they would only learn through experience?
Yeah. So here's a key piece of advice in terms of cases. Okay, because our business, my practice, my first practice, we have over 25 employees here. It doesn't survive if we don't bring in cases. So I've told attorneys over the years, and I tell them now, I said, what do you like to do outside of work? What brings you pleasure? How can you turn what you enjoy doing when you're not in the office into something that can eventually generate business? And I think I'm a prime example. I love riding motorcycles, right? And that took me into the motorcycle community. And that led to cases from the motorcycle community. So I tell my young associates, you have to identify what brings you passion outside of work. And then you have to identify how that passion can possibly be turned into a benefit to you in terms of bringing cases to the office. And that's what I've been trying to focus on with my attorneys, taking that passion and figuring out what you need to do to take it to the next level and bring cases to the firm.
I have one more question for you, but first tell me how people can find out more about your firm.
So if you were to just go to motorcyclemikeesq.com, you'll find out about me and my firm. My firm's got a long-winded name, Rappaport Glass, Levine and Zullo. That's why branding is so important, because if I was advertising on TV and I said, I'm Michael Levine from Rappaport Glass, Levine and Zullo, it's going to go in one ear and out the other ear because it just doesn't flow off the tongue. But if I say I'm motorcyclemikeesq.com, that's easy to remember, right? So if you want to speak to me about any matter, I mean, we fortunately have literally hundreds of referring attorneys to our firm, and they're the heart and soul of our practice. If you have a matter that you think my firm might be capable of handling, it's in the New York area, metropolitan New York area. We try not to go too far upstate. Be happy to represent you. We've learned a long time ago to make our referring attorneys happy, because if you keep a referring attorney happy, then that's gold, you know. So we've done that for many years, and I never ever have the unhappy referring attorney. So motorcyclemikeesq.com. Thanks for asking, Chad.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Hey, last question for you. You mentioned you've kind of pursued your passion. You love motorcycling. I know you probably have other things going on in your life. How have you learned, or how do you balance your professional and personal life to kind of pursue your personal passions and also be a successful attorney?
Yeah. So listen, I mean, I'm like you and like anybody else. I take my work home every single day of the week. I'm on my computer every evening. I'm doing work. But when I am away on vacation, I have really good staff here. I don't call incessantly. I don't check my emails incessantly. I'm on vacation. They know to leave me alone. And I mean, I was just bicycle riding in Italy a couple of weeks ago. I didn't call my firm once the whole 8 days I was in Europe. So the key is to get away from the office. If you got good staff, and I have amazing support staff, I don't need to worry. They're taking care of the problems. They're taking care of the issues, the court appearances, the judges, my emails. So have really good support staff. That's lesson number one. And if you do, take vacations, see the world. I mean, it's such a big world, and we're here for such a short period of time. There's so much out there to see. I just working on a trip right now, going hiking in Patagonia in December of next year. So I'm not shy about taking vacations because I trust my staff, and I also realize it's important for not only my mental health but my physical health to get away from the office as much as I possibly can. And I really believe that I practice what I preach.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a place that you've visited that particularly stands out or that you would recommend?
So I'll tell you, not really a risk taker, but maybe a little bit. So I go helicopter skiing every year. I go up to British Columbia to an outfit way up in British Columbia. It's 2 days to get up there and 2 days to get back. And I go helicopter skiing. People say, you jump out of helicopters? No, the helicopter lands and then you get out nice and easily, and then you mount your skis and you ski down the slope. And I've been helicopter skiing for years. It's one of my passions. British Columbia is one of the most spectacular parts of the world, and I never get tired of being up there. It's majestic, it's mountainous, the wildlife is incredible, and it's, to me, a very special place in the world.
Wow, sounds amazing. Hey, Michael, it's been really great to talk to you. Thank you so much for all of your insights, your experience, your stories. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate the invite, and good luck with yourself.
Thank you. So long,
Okay.
everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.